The great assembly hall on Viren Prime was enormous. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds filled the chamber. Some walked on 2 legs, some on 4, some on 6. Some flew, some crawled. But all of them had come here for the same reason. They were members of the Galactic Council, and today they would decide the fate of entire worlds. Ambassador Day-Wan stood quietly near the back of the human section. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He wore a simple dark suit, nothing fancy. Beside him stood He-Jin, a younger woman in a military uniform. She carried no weapons. The council did not allow weapons in the assembly hall. At the center of the massive room, Councillor Brayok stood on a raised platform. He was from a bird-like species called the Kelvar. His feathers were bright blue and gold. He spread his wings wide to get everyone's attention. "Order! I call this session to order!" Brayok's voice echoed through the hall. The noise slowly died down. Thousands of eyes turned toward the platform. "We have many matters to discuss today," Brayok continued. "Border disputes, trade agreements, mining rights in the neutral zones." Day-Wan listened carefully. He had been humanity's ambassador for 10 years now. In that time, he had learned to stay quiet and observe. Humans were new to the galactic community. Only 50 years had passed since Earth made first contact. 50 years was nothing to species that had traveled the stars for thousands of years. A loud voice suddenly boomed across the hall. "I have something to say about the humans." Day-Wan did not move. He knew that voice. It belonged to Councillor Tavar, representative of the Skreth Empire. Tavar was a massive reptilian creature nearly 3 meters tall. His scales were dark green and his eyes were yellow with black slits. Brayok sighed. "The council recognizes Councillor Tavar." Tavar stepped forward, his claws clicking on the metal floor. "The Skreth Empire grows tired of human expansion. These newcomers claim more and more colony worlds. They take resources that rightfully belong to older, stronger species." Murmurs spread through the hall. Some agreed. Others remained silent. Day-Wan still did not move. He-Jin glanced at him, but he gave a small shake of his head. "Not yet. Look at them." Tavar pointed at the human section. "They have been in space for only 50 years. 50. We have been among the stars for 10,000 years. And yet they dare to take worlds near our borders." Another counselor spoke up. This one was Ulwin, from the Hive Collective. She looked like a large insect with 6 legs and 4 arms. Her voice clicked and buzzed. "How many ships do the humans have, Councillor Tavar?" Tavar smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Our intelligence reports say they have only 30 warships." 30. The Skreth Empire has 8,000. The Drevak Sovereignty has 12,000. Even the smallest empire here has more ships than the humans. Laughter rippled through parts of the hall. Not everywhere, but enough to sting. Brayok tapped his staff on the floor. "Ambassador Day-Wan, would you like to respond?" Finally, Day-Wan stepped forward. He walked slowly to the speaker's area. His footsteps were quiet. When he reached the platform, he turned to face the assembly. "Councillor Tavar speaks the truth," Day-Wan said calmly. "Humanity does have a small fleet. We are young compared to your great civilizations. We have much to learn." Tavar looked surprised. He had expected an argument. "We prefer peaceful expansion," Day-Wan continued. "We seek empty worlds. We avoid conflict when possible." "This is our way. Your way is weakness," Tavar roared. "In this galaxy, the weak are conquered. That is the natural order." Some counselors nodded. Others looked uncomfortable. "The Skreth Empire has decided," Tavar announced. "We will take 3 human colony worlds. Haven 7, Redmont, and New Kyoto. These worlds are close to our territory. They should be ours. We will give the humans 1 week to evacuate." Shock filled the human section. Hyjin's hand moved toward her communication device, but Day-Wan raised his hand slightly. "Wait." Brayok looked troubled. "This is a serious matter. Should we not vote?" "Vote on what?" Tavar demanded. "The strong take from the weak. This has always been the way. The humans cannot defend 3 worlds with 30 ships. They know this. We know this. Why pretend otherwise?" Ulwin clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. "Perhaps we should hear what the humans have to say." "What can they say?" Another counselor called out. "They are defenseless." Day-Wan stood very still. His face showed no emotion. "Councillor Tavar, I ask you to reconsider. You do not know what you are starting." The entire hall went silent. Something in Day-Wan's voice made everyone listen. Tavar laughed. It was a deep rumbling sound. "Is that a threat, human? With your 30 little ships? Please enlighten us." What exactly am I starting? Daewon met Tavar's eyes. A mistake. Enough of this. Tavar turned to address the whole council. The Skreth Empire will take those 3 worlds. If the humans resist, we will remove them by force. Our fleet of 500 warships is already preparing to jump to human space. This debate is over. Bryok looked at Daewon. Ambassador, do you have anything else to say? Daewon was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, and his words were soft but clear. We came to the stars hoping to find friends. We hope to learn from older, wiser species. We hope to build something good together. He paused, but hope is not enough. We learned that lesson long ago on Earth. So while we hoped for the best, we prepared for the worst. Tavar snorted. Prepared? With 30 ships? Daewon smiled slightly. It was not a happy smile. Counselor Tavar, I will say this one more time. Please reconsider. The lives of your soldiers depend on it. My soldiers will be fine, Tavar said. Your colonists, however, should start packing. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Some species supported the Skreth. Others felt uncomfortable but said nothing. The smaller, weaker species watched with fear. If this could happen to humanity, it could happen to them too. Daewon turned and walked back to his section. Hijin leaned close. Sir, she whispered. Send the message, Daewon said quietly. Yijin pulled out a small communication device. She pressed a single button. No words were needed. The message was simple. It had been prepared months ago, just in case. Far away, in deep space, 7 massive objects received the signal. Systems that had been dormant for years began to wake up. Power cores that could fuel entire cities hummed to life. Weapons that had never been fired ran diagnostic checks. Shields that could withstand small stars flickered into existence, then faded again, ready for use. The message had been sent. There was no taking it back now. In the council chamber, Tavar was already leaving. He had won, or so he thought. His fleet would jump to human space within hours. By the end of the week, 3 human worlds would belong to the Skreth Empire. Daewon sat down. He looked tired. Hyojin sat beside him. Did we do the right thing? She asked quietly. We gave them a chance, Daewon replied. They made their choice. Now they will learn what humanity has been hiding. Across the galaxy, 500 Skreth warships gathered in formation. Their commanders were confident. Their weapons were charged. Their shields were up. They had done this many times before. Conquest was simple when you had overwhelming numbers. The fleet jumped into hyperspace, heading for the human colony world of Haven 7. They expected an easy victory. They expected the humans to surrender or run. They expected to be home in a few days, celebrating another conquest. They did not expect what was waiting for them. In the darkness of space, something ancient and patient stirred. Something that humans had spent 50 years building in secret. Something that would change everything. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson. Humanity had learned it long ago, written in blood across centuries of war on Earth. The lesson was simple. Never mistake patience for weakness. Never mistake silence for helplessness. And never ever assume you know what someone is hiding. The Skreth fleet jumped toward Haven 7. They would arrive in 6 hours. The countdown had begun. Fleet Admiral Boram stood on the bridge of the Eternal Sentinel, the flagship of humanity's defensive fleet. Around her, holographic displays showed the positions of all 7 planetary warships. They hung in space at the edge of human territory, waiting. On the tactical display, 3,000 red dots approached. The coalition fleet from 4 species, Skreth, Dravak, Korthan, and Vex. They had come to force humanity to surrender its planetary warships. They believed numbers would win. Distance to coalition fleet? Boram asked calmly. 1 million kilometers in closing, her tactical officer, Commander Jae-hoon, replied. They will be in weapon range in 15 minutes. Boram was 60 years old with short white hair and steady hands. She had joined Earth's first space navy 40 years ago. She had helped design these planetary warships. She knew what they could do. She also knew what they should not do. Open a channel to the coalition fleet, she ordered. A face appeared on the main view screen. It was Tavar, the Skreth counselor. Behind him, representatives from the other 3 species stood together. This is Fleet Admiral Boram of the Human Defense Force. You are approaching human territory with a military fleet. State your intentions. Tavar's yellow eyes gleamed with anger. You know our intentions, human. You have weapons that threaten the entire galaxy. We demand you surrender your planetary warships immediately. If you refuse, we will destroy them. Boram looked at the display showing 3,000 ships. Then she looked back at Tavar. With respect, Counselor, you cannot destroy our ships, but you can avoid this conflict. Turn back now. No one needs to be hurt today. Hurt? Tavar laughed. You have 7 ships. We have 3,000. The mathematics are simple. You cannot win. Mathematics is not everything, Boram said quietly. Please, Counselor, turn back. We do not want bloodshed. Another face appeared on the screen, a Drevak commander with 4 eyes and gray skin. We gave you a chance to surrender. You refused. Now you will face the consequences. This is your last warning. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Boram sighed. She had hoped to avoid this. Commander Jehoon battle stations. All ships prepare for defensive operations. Remember the rules of engagement. Disable only. No lethal force unless absolutely necessary. Yes, Admiral, Jehoon replied. The 7 planetary warships powered up their systems. Shields came online, glowing with energy. Weapon systems activated, though only a fraction of them. Even a fraction was more than enough. The coalition fleet spread out, forming an enveloping pattern. They had fought this way before against other species. Surround the enemy. Attack from all sides. Overwhelm with numbers. They are launching fighters, Jehoon reported. Estimated 10,000 small craft. Let them come, Boram said. Point defense systems to automatic. Target engines and weapons only. On the Fortress Terra, Captain Yanwu watched his own tactical displays. Ulwin and Mivara stood beside him, watching in fear and wonder. So many ships, Mivara whispered. Can you really stop them all? Yanwu did not look away from the displays. Watch and learn what humanity has built. The coalition fleet attacked. 3,000 ships and 10,000 fighters all firing at once. The void of space lit up with weapons fire, missiles, energy beams, plasma bolts, nuclear warheads, everything they had. It all hit the shields of the 7 planetary warships. And none of it got through. The shields absorbed the attack like oceans absorbing rain. Their shields are not even weakening, a Drevak officer shouted on his bridge. Impossible, a Korthan captain screamed. Fire everything. All weapons. The coalition poured more fire into the attack. They used weapons that could destroy continents. Weapons that could crack moons. Nothing worked. The human shields simply adapted and held. Then the humans fired back, not with all their weapons. That would have been overkill, just enough to make their point. Point defense turrets tracked every fighter simultaneously. Missiles that could think intercepted incoming fire and continued to their targets. Energy weapons that never missed struck with precision. In the first 60 seconds, every single coalition fighter was disabled. Engines destroyed. Weapons gone. Life support intact. 10,000 fighters became 10,000 floating pieces of metal with living crews inside. Impossible. Tavar breathed on his flagship. How can they track so many targets at once? His tactical officer was pale. Sir, their computers are processing battlefield data 1,000 times faster than ours. Every weapon is linked to an AI system. They are not just shooting. They are thinking. The coalition ships tried to spread out to avoid the human weapons. It did not matter. The 7 planetary warships could cover every angle. Their weapons had nearly unlimited range compared to normal ships. Admiral Boram watched the battle unfold. It was not really a battle. It was a demonstration, a lesson in the difference between quantity and quality. Target their engines and weapons systems, she ordered. No casualties. I want every crew member to survive to tell this story. The human fleet obeyed. Weapons fire from 7 planetary warships reached out across space with perfect accuracy. One by one, the coalition ships were disabled. Not destroyed, not killed, simply made unable to fight. 30 minutes into the battle, half the coalition fleet was floating helplessly in space. They are trying to retreat, Jehoon reported. Let them go, Boram said. We have made our point. Some ships managed to turn and run. Others kept fighting out of pride or fear. The humans disabled them all with the same precision. By the end of the first hour, 2,000 coalition ships floated in space, powerless but intact. Only 1,000 ships had escaped, running back to their home territories. They would tell everyone what they had seen. On his flagship, Tavar stared at his dead console screens. His ship's weapons were destroyed. His engines were damaged but could be repaired. His crew was alive but defeated. Around him, 3,000 of the galaxy's finest warships had been beaten by 7. A voice came over his emergency communication system. It was Admiral Boram. "Coalition fleet, this is Admiral Boram. Your ships are disabled, but your crews are unharmed. You are free to repair your vessels and return home. I want you to deliver a message to your governments." Tavar said nothing. He just listened. "Humanity does not seek conquest," Boram continued. "We do not want to rule the galaxy. We want to live in peace, but we will defend ourselves and we will defend those who cannot defend themselves. You came here with 3,000 ships to force us to surrender. We met you with 7 ships and showed you mercy. Remember this day. Remember that we could have destroyed you all but chose not to. Tell your leaders, work with us for peace or leave us alone. Those are the only choices." The communication ended. Tavar sat in his damaged ship, surrounded by the wreckage of his pride. They had lost not because they were weak, but because the humans were so much stronger, and the humans had shown mercy. That was somehow worse than being destroyed. It meant humanity held the moral high ground along with the military advantage. Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread quickly. 7 human ships had defeated 3,000. Without any human casualties. Without any enemy casualties either. It was unprecedented. At the Galactic Council, an emergency session was called. Bryak stood at the center platform looking at Ambassador Day One. "What do you want?" Bryak asked simply. "What does humanity want from the galaxy?" Day One stood up. Heejin stood beside him. He looked at all the assembled species from the smallest to the largest. "We want partnership," Day One said. "Not submission. Not tribute. We want to build a galaxy where might does not make right, where peaceful species do not live in fear of aggressive empires, where disputes are settled by words, not weapons." He paused, letting his words echo through the Great Hall. "In the coming days, humanity will announce the formation of a new alliance. We call it the Coalition of Free Worlds. Any species that wishes to join will be welcome. Any species that seeks peace will find friends. Any species that attacks members of this coalition will face the same fate as the fleet you saw today." Brayok looked around the hall. "And if we do not join?" "If we wish to remain neutral?" "Then remain neutral," Day One said. "We will not force anyone. But know this, the age of conquest is ending. Those who cling to the old ways will find themselves alone. Those who embrace peace will find allies." Ulwin stood up. "The Hive Collective wishes to join this coalition of free worlds." Mavara stood next. "The Pelon as well. We join humanity's alliance." One by one, representatives from smaller species stood up. Those who had lived in fear for centuries. Those who had been conquered and forced to surrender. Those who had dreamed of a different galaxy, but never had the strength to create it. Within an hour, 43 species had joined the Coalition of Free Worlds. Within a week, the number grew to 70. The galaxy was changing. Not through conquest. Not through force. Through choice. 1 year later, Ambassador Daywan and Hyejin stood aboard the Fortress Terra. The ship was no longer hidden in deep space. It orbited New Earth, humanity's second colony, serving as both protector and symbol. Dozens of ships from allied species traveled alongside it, exchanging knowledge and culture. Was it worth it? Hyejin asked.
Keeping the secret for 50 years?
Daywan looked out at the peaceful fleet. We were not ready to reveal ourselves. The galaxy was not ready for us. News traveled fast across the galaxy. Within hours, every major government knew what had happened at Haven 7. Within a day, everyone knew. The Skreth Empire had sent 500 warships to conquer a human colony. 3 minutes later, their fleet was disabled. By one ship. One impossible planet-sized ship. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. The Great Assembly Hall was packed. More beings attended this session than any in the past 100 years. Everyone wanted answers. Everyone wanted to know the truth. Ambassador Daywan walked slowly to the speaker's platform. Beside him, Hyejin carried a data device. The hall was silent. Thousands of eyes watched the two humans. Counselor Bryok stood at the center platform. His feathers were ruffled, a sign of stress among his species. Ambassador Daywan, the council demands an explanation. What happened at Haven 7? What is this weapon you have created? Daywan stopped at the platform. He looked tired but calm. It is not a weapon, Counselor Bryok. It is a ship. A very large ship, yes, but still just a ship. Just a ship? Tavar roared. He stood in the Skreth section, his scales darker than usual, showing his anger. Your ship destroyed an entire fleet in 3 minutes. Disabled, Day One corrected gently. Not destroyed. Every member of your fleet survived. They were allowed to leave peacefully. Ulwin, the insectoid counselor, clicked her mandibles. How is such a thing possible? A ship the size of a planet? How did you build it? How did you hide it? Day One gestured to Heejin, who activated the data device. A hologram appeared above the center of the hall. It showed the Fortress Terra rotating slowly in space. The massive ship was covered in lights, weapons, and cities. It looked more like a small world than a vessel. Gasps and whispers filled the hall. For 50 years, Day One began, humanity has been building. Not just small ships, not just colonies. We have been building these. He gestured at the hologram. We call them planetary warship. Then why? Bryok asked. Why build such things in secret? Day One turned to face the entire assembly. Because we were afraid. When we first came to the stars, we hoped to find friends. We hoped to find peace. But what did we find? Empires built on conquest. Species that took what they wanted from the weak. Wars that lasted for centuries. He paused, letting his words sink in. We are a young species. We have only been in space for 50 years. Most of you have been traveling the stars for thousands of years. You have better technology, larger fleets, more experience. If we had shown weakness, if we had relied only on hope and diplomacy, what would have happened to us? Silence, no one answered, but everyone knew. The weak were conquered. That was the way of the galaxy. Ulwin spoke up. So you hid your true strength. You made us think you were weak while you prepared for war. We prepared for survival, Day One said. There is a difference. A hologram appeared in the air. It showed Admiral Junho, a human military officer. He wore a dark uniform with silver insignia. His image was being broadcast from somewhere in human space. With the Council's permission, Junho said, I would like to explain how we accomplish this. Bryok nodded. The Council grants permission. Admiral Junho's hologram expanded. Behind him, images began to appear, showing the construction process. When humanity first joined the galactic community, we were given access to standard technology. Faster than light travel, energy shields, plasma weapons. We studied everything carefully, more images appeared. Humans working with alien technology, studying, learning, adapting. We noticed something interesting, Junho continued. Most species build many small ships, fleets of thousands. This makes sense for conquest, for spreading your forces across many worlds. But humanity asked a different question. What if we built fewer ships but made each one capable of defending an entire world? A new image appeared. It showed an asteroid field far from any inhabited system. We found remote locations, places no one wanted, dead asteroid fields, empty star systems. We built in secret. It took decades to construct each planetary warship. We used automated factories. We moved slowly, carefully. We made sure no one noticed. Another image showed the interior of a planetary warship. It was not just weapons and engines. There were cities inside, parks, schools. Entire populations could live within these ships. Each planetary warship is not just a weapon of war, Junho explained. It is an ark. If our worlds are ever threatened, our people can evacuate to these ships. They can live there for years if necessary. We built them to survive, not just to fight. Tavar stood up angrily. You deceived us. You lied to the Council. We never lied, Dewan said calmly. We simply did not tell you everything. Is that not what every empire does? Do you share all your military secrets with the Council, Counselor Tavar? Tavar had no answer for that. A smaller counselor stood up. Her name was Mivara. She represented the Pelon, a species with only 20 worlds and a small fleet. How many of these ships do you have? The hall went silent again. That was the question everyone wanted answered. Dewan smiled slightly. That information remains classified. But I can tell you this. Every human colony is protected. Every single one. That means dozens, someone shouted. Maybe hundreds. It means we are prepared, Dewan replied. Nothing more, nothing less. Ulwin stepped forward. Ambassador Dewan, I have a question. Your ship could have destroyed the Skreth fleet completely. Why did you only disable their ships? Why show mercy to those who came to conquer you? This was the question Dewan had been waiting for. This was the important one. Because, he said slowly, humanity learned a lesson long ago. On Earth we fought wars for thousands of years, nation against nation. people against people. We nearly destroyed ourselves many times, but we survived, and we learned something important. He looked around the hall, meeting the eyes of as many beings as he could. We learned that strength without mercy is tyranny. We learned that victory without compassion creates only more enemies. Yes, we could have destroyed the Skreth fleet, but why? They were following orders. They thought they were doing their duty. Should we kill them for that? Tavar looked uncomfortable. His warriors had been spared by human mercy. Humanity does not seek conquest, Daewon continued. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We want to live in peace, but we will defend ourselves. We will protect our people, and we will not be conquered. Brayok tapped his staff on the floor. What do you want from this council? Partnership, Daewon said simply. Not submission. Not tribute. Just partnership. We are willing to share our technology with those who want peace. We are willing to defend those who cannot defend themselves, but we will not tolerate aggression. A counselor from a smaller species stood up. You would defend us? Without asking for anything in return? We ask only for friendship, Daewon replied. We ask that you work with us to build a galaxy where might does not make right. Where the weak are not conquered simply because they are weak. Ulwyn clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. The Hive Collective would like to discuss this partnership. We have much to learn from each other. Other voices joined in. Small species, those who lived in fear of larger empires, they all wanted to talk. They all wanted to know more, but not everyone was happy. Tavar stood again, his voice full of rage. This is unacceptable. Humanity threatens the natural order. They must be stopped. Several other counselors stood with him. Representatives from the largest, most aggressive empires. They saw humanity as a threat to their power. We should form a coalition, another counselor declared. Show these humans that they are not as strong as they think. Numbers will prevail. Daewon listened to the calls for war. He did not look worried. Instead, he looked sad. If that is your choice, he said quietly, humanity will defend itself. But know this, we do not want this war. We will not start it. But we will end it. Brayok tried to restore order, but the hall had erupted in argument. Half the species wanted partnership with humanity. Half wanted war. The galaxy was dividing into two camps. Hyejin leaned close to Daewon. Sir, intelligence reports say 4 species are forming a military coalition. They're gathering their fleets. Daewon nodded slowly. How many ships? 3,000, sir. Maybe more. Then we will need more than one planetary warship this time. Daewon looked at the arguing council members. The galaxy was changing, whether they wanted it to or not. Hyejin, send word to Fleet Command. Tell them to prepare 7 ships. 7, sir? Against 3,000? Daewon looked at her. Will it be enough? Hyejin thought about the Fortress Terra. She thought about what one ship had done to 500. She smiled slightly. Yes, sir. It will be more than enough. Commander Kyung-soo stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Fang. Around him, holographic displays showed all 500 ships of his fleet. They had just exited hyperspace near the human colony world of Haven 7. The planet hung in space ahead of them, blue and green and peaceful. Too peaceful. Scan for defenses, Kyung-soo ordered. He was Skreth, like all his crew, but he wore the uniform of a fleet commander. He had conquered 17 worlds in his career. This would be number 18. A junior officer checked the sensors. Sir, I detect 2 small defense stations orbiting the planet. No ships, no fleet, just the stations, Kyung-soo smiled. This would be easier than expected. Only 2 stations? How many human colonists live on that planet? Approximately 3 million, sir. And they defend themselves with 2 stations? Kyung-soo shook his head. These humans are fools. Open a channel to the planet. On Haven 7 in the colony's main administrative building, Jiwoo sat at her desk. She was the colony administrator, responsible for 3 million people. She was young, only 32 years old, but she had been chosen carefully for this role. Very carefully. Her communication console beeped. It was the priority channel, the one reserved for emergencies. This is Jiwoo, she answered calmly. A face appeared on her screen. It was reptilian with yellow eyes and scales. The creature looked angry. I am Commander Kyung-soo of the Skreth Empire, the alien said. This world now belongs to us. You have 1 hour to surrender. Evacuate your people to the southern continent. We will take the rest of the planet. If you resist, we will destroy your cities from orbit. Jiwoo looked at the alien commander for a long moment. Then she pressed a button on her desk. Minseo, could you come to my office, please? What? Kyung-soo looked confused. Did you hear me, human? 1 hour. I heard you, Jiwoo said. Please wait a moment. She muted the channel. A door opened and Minseo walked in. She was older than Jiwoo, maybe 50, with short gray hair. She wore a simple uniform with no rank insignia, but her eyes were sharp and alert. They're here, Jiwoo said. Minseo nodded. I know. I've been monitoring their approach. 500 ships. They think they've already won. What should I tell them? Minseo looked at the muted screen, where Commander Kyung-soo was clearly shouting silently. Tell them to leave. Give them one chance. That's the protocol. Jiwoo unmuted the channel. Commander Kyung-soo, I ask you to withdraw your fleet. Please leave our system immediately. Kyung-soo laughed. It was a harsh barking sound. Withdraw? You have 2 defense stations and no fleet. We have 500 warships. Are you insane? I am giving you a chance to leave, Jiwoo said calmly. Please take it. Your hour just became 30 minutes, Kyung-soo snarled. Prepare for orbital bombardment. He cut the connection. Minseo pressed a button on her wrist. Sangmin, start evacuating civilians to the deep shelters. A voice responded immediately. Already in progress. Everyone will be secure in 20 minutes, Jiwoo looked worried. Will it be enough? The shelters can survive anything, Minseo said. But it won't come to that. How can you be so sure? Minseo smiled. Because I know what's hiding behind our moon, and they don't. In space, the Skreth fleet spread out into attack formation. Commander Kyung-soo watched his tactical display with satisfaction. This was routine. Surround the planet, disable the pathetic defenses, bombard the cities until they surrender. He had done it many times. All ships, battle formation, he ordered. Target those 2 defense stations first, then prepare for bombardment runs on the major cities. Yes, sir, his weapons officer replied. The fleet moved forward. 500 ships against 1 small planet. It was almost unfair. Almost boring. Then something strange happened. The sensor officer looked up from his console, confused. Sir, I'm detecting something odd. What is it? Long-range sensors are picking up a massive energy signature. It's coming from behind the planet's moon. Kyung-soo frowned. Another defense station? No, sir. It's much bigger. Much, much bigger. I think it's moving. Put it on screen. The main view screen changed. It showed the moon of Haven 7, a gray ball of rock about 2,000 kilometers across. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then the moon seemed to shimmer. Space itself looked strange, like heat waves on a hot day. Something appeared from behind the moon. Something enormous. At first, Kyung-soo thought it was another moon. But moons don't move like that. Moons don't glow with power. Moons don't have lights covering their surface like cities at night. Size, Kyung-soo demanded. His voice was no longer confident. The sensor officer's hand shook as he checked the readings. Sir, it's approximately 8,000 kilometers in diameter. That's impossible. That's bigger than most planets. Yes, sir. And sir, it's a ship. Silence filled the bridge. Everyone stared at the view screen. The thing that had appeared was covered in structures. Weapon emplacements, shield generators, docking bays that could hold entire fleets, cities, forests. It was not just a ship. It was a world that could move. A world that could fight. How many weapons does it have? Kyung-soo whispered. The sensor officer checked again. Then checked again. Then looked up, his face pale. Sir, I can't get an accurate count. There are thousands, maybe tens of thousands. Every type of weapon I know and some I don't recognize. A voice suddenly came over the communication channel. It was calm and female. It was Minseo. Skreth Fleet, this is Haven 7 Defense Command. That ship you're looking at is the Fortress Terra. It is one of humanity's planetary warships. This is your final warning. Leave now or you will be disabled. We do not want to harm you, but we will defend our home. Kyung-soo stared at the screen. His mind raced. 500 ships seemed like a lot. But compared to that thing, his entire fleet could probably fit inside one of its docking bays. This is a trick, he said. Some kind of illusion. It has to be. His sensor officer shook his head. Sir, all readings confirm it's real. That thing is generating more power than our entire empire uses in a year. If even 1% of those weapons fire at us, we are the Skreth Empire, Kyung-soo shouted. We do not run from anyone. All ships, attack formation. Target that. That thing. Sir, I strongly advise, attack. The fleet moved forward. 500 ships against one. But size mattered. Kyung-soo was starting to understand that now. Too late, but he understood. The Fortress Terra did not move. It simply floated in space, silent and patient. Waiting. When the Skreth ships came into range, they fired. Missiles by the thousands, energy beams, plasma bolts, everything they had. The void of space lit up with weapons fire. All of it hit the Fortress Terra's shields, and none of it got through. The shields didn't even flicker. They absorbed the attack like an ocean absorbs raindrops. Impossible, Kyung-soo breathed. Then the Fortress Terra fired back. Not all its weapons, not even 1% of them. Just enough. Point defense turrets that could track 1,000 targets at once. Energy weapons that never missed. Missiles that could think and adapt. The Skreth fleet lasted 3 minutes, not 3 hours. Not 3 days. 3 minutes. But here was the strange thing. The thing that Commander Kyung-soo would remember in the years to come. The human ship didn't destroy them. It could have, easily. Instead, it disabled them. Weapons destroyed. Engines damaged. Life support intact. Communications working. 500 ships floated in space, helpless but alive. Every single crew member survived. Min Seo's voice came over the channel again. Skreth fleet, you are free to repair your ships and leave. Tell your leaders what happened here. Tell them humanity does not seek war. But we will not be conquered, not now. Not ever. Kyung-soo sat in his command chair staring at the screen. His mighty fleet, pride of the Empire, defeated in 3 minutes. And the humans had shown mercy. One ship managed to get its engines working, just one. It jumped away to carry the news back to the Skreth homeworld. On Haven 7, Ji-woo and Min Seo watched from the operations center. The planet was safe. The colonists were safe. And the galaxy had just learned humanity's secret. How many more planetary warships do we have? Ji-woo asked quietly. Min Seo smiled. Enough, we have enough. Ambassador Soo-jin sat in her office on the human diplomatic station orbiting Earth. She was reading reports from across the galaxy. In the 3 weeks since the incident at Haven 7, everything had changed. Smaller species were reaching out to humanity. They wanted protection. They wanted allies. They wanted hope. Her door chimed. Come in, she called out. A young aide entered. Ambassador, Counselor Ulwin has arrived for your meeting. Show her in, please. Ulwin entered the office. The insectoid being had to fold 2 of her 6 legs to fit through the doorway. Her compound eyes glittered in the light. Ambassador Soo-jin, thank you for agreeing to meet privately, Ulwin said. Her voice clicked and buzzed, translated by a small device on her chest. Please sit if you're comfortable. Soo-jin gestured to a specially designed chair. Can I offer you anything? No, thank you. I come on behalf of the Hive Collective. We wish to discuss an alliance with humanity. Soo-jin had expected this. What kind of alliance? We are a peaceful species, Ulwin explained. We seek knowledge, not conquest. But we are surrounded by empires that see us as prey. The Drevak, the Skreth, others. They have taken 3 of our colony worlds in the past century. We cannot defend ourselves against such numbers. And you want humanity to defend you? Yes, but not for free. We offer partnership. We have advanced biological technology, medical science, agricultural methods. We can help feed your growing colonies. In return, you help keep us safe. Soo-jin considered this. Let me be honest with you, Counselor. Humanity is facing a difficult choice. We revealed our planetary warships to defend ourselves, but now we have become something else. A power in the galaxy. If we agree to protect others, we become responsible for their safety. That is a heavy burden. We understand, Ulwin said. But consider this. If the aggressive empires conquer species like mine, they grow stronger. Eventually, they will turn on you again, with even more resources. Is it not better to have allies? To help those who seek peace? The door chimed again. Soo-jin's aide appeared. Ambassador Counselor Mivara of the Pilon has arrived. She says it is urgent. Send her in. Mivara was small, barely a meter tall, with soft gray fur and large dark eyes. She looked frightened. Ambassador Soo-jin, please, I need your help. The Drevak Empire has given us an ultimatum. We have 1 month to surrender 5 of our worlds, or they will take all 20 by force. When did this happen? Soo-jin asked. 2 days ago. They know humanity is distracted by the coalition forming against you. They think this is their chance to expand while you are busy. Tears formed in Mivara's eyes. We have nowhere else to turn. Our fleet has only 60 ships. The Dravak have thousands. Sujin looked at both alien counselors. They represented billions of beings, peaceful species who just wanted to live without fear. She thought about humanity's choice. Stay isolated and safe, or step into a larger role. I need to make a call, Sujin said. Please wait here. She went to her private communication room and opened a secure channel. A man appeared on the screen. Captain Yanwu, commander of the Fortress Terra, Ambassador. Yanwu nodded. What can I do for you? Captain, how many people currently live aboard your ship? Yanwu looked puzzled. About 50,000. Mostly military personnel and their families. Why? Could it hold more? If necessary. The Fortress Terra was designed to hold up to 5 million people in emergency situations. We have entire sections that are empty. Again, why? Sujin made her decision. Because I'm going to invite some guests to see what humanity has built. I want them to understand what they are asking for. Can you give them a tour? Yanwu smiled. It would be my pleasure. 2 days later, Ulwin and Mivara arrived at the coordinates they had been given. They expected to see a military base, perhaps a space station. What they saw made them speechless. The Fortress Terra floated in space like a small moon, 8,000 kilometers across, covered in lights that looked like cities at night. Docking bays large enough to hold battleships, weapons that could crack planets, shields that could withstand stars. A small shuttle brought them inside. They docked in a bay that could have held 100 ships their size. When they stepped out, they found themselves in what looked like a city street. There were trees, buildings, people walking around like they were on a planet not inside a warship. Captain Yanwu met them personally. He was a middle-aged man with kind eyes and a calm manner. Welcome to Fortress Terra. Please follow me. I will show you what humanity has created. They walked through the ship for hours. Yanwu showed them residential districts where families lived in actual houses with yards. Parks where children played under artificial sunlight that felt real. Schools, hospitals, farms growing food using advanced hydroponics. This is not just a warship, Mivara whispered. This is a world. That was the idea, Yanwu said. If humanity ever needs to evacuate our colonies, these ships can hold entire populations. They can sustain life for decades if necessary. We built them to survive, not just to fight. They visited the command center, where hundreds of officers monitored systems. Ulwin saw displays showing defensive capabilities. Those weapons. How many do you have? 40,000 primary weapon systems, Yanwu answered, plus 200,000 point defense turrets. Each one linked to an AI that can track thousands of targets simultaneously. And the shields? Ulwin asked. A woman approached them. She wore a scientist's uniform. I can answer that. I am Yunji, chief engineer of this vessel's defensive systems. Yunji led them to a laboratory where she showed them holographic displays of the shield technology. Our shields do not just block energy. They learn. They adapt. If you fire a plasma weapon at us, the shields analyze it and adjust to defend against that specific frequency. By the second shot, they are 90% more effective. By the 10th shot, they are nearly impenetrable. Incredible, Ulwin clicked her mandibles in amazement. The tour continued. They saw the massive engines that could move this planet-sized ship faster than any normal vessel. They saw the resource processors that could break down asteroids and convert them into anything needed. They saw the manufacturing bays that could build new ships or weapons or anything else. Finally, they stood in an observation deck, looking out at the stars. The three of them were quiet for a long moment. You did not build weapons, Ulwin said softly. You built arcs that can fight. Yanwu nodded. Yes, that is exactly right. Humanity has fought itself for thousands of years. We nearly destroyed our own planet. We learned that survival requires more than just weapons. It requires the ability to preserve life while defending it. Suddenly, alarms began to sound. Officers rushed to their stations. A young lieutenant approached Yanwu. Captain, we have an urgent message from Earth Command. The Coalition has gathered its fleet, 3,000 warships from 4 species. They are demanding humanity surrender all planetary warships or face destruction. Mivara looked terrified. 3,000 ships. They are gathering at the edge of human space, the lieutenant continued. They will arrive in 6 hours. Yanwu looked at Ambassador Sujin's hologram, which had appeared in the observation deck. Ambassador, what are your orders? Sujin looked tired but determined. Captain, gather 6 more planetary warships. Position yourselves to intercept the coalition fleet. 7 ships against 3,000? Olwen sounded frightened. Yes, Sujin said. Captain Yanwu, you are authorized to use necessary force to defend human space. But remember our principles. Disable, do not destroy. Show them what humanity can do, but also show them what humanity chooses not to do. Yanwu saluted. Understood, Ambassador. We will protect our people and show mercy to our enemies. As the Fortress Terra began to power up its systems, Mivara and Ulwen felt the deck vibrate beneath their feet. Outside the observation window, space began to shimmer as 6 more massive shapes appeared. 7 planetary warships, each one capable of holding millions of people, each one armed with enough firepower to level continents. But what struck both alien visitors most was not the power they saw. It was what Captain Yanwu said next. I have fought in 2 wars, he said quietly, looking at the approaching fleet on the tactical display. I have seen what happens when the strong crush the weak. Humanity could have become another empire of conquerors. We have the strength for it, but we chose a different path. We chose to be protectors, not predators. He turned to look at Ulwen and Mivara. That is what we offer to your people, not domination, partnership. We will defend you if you wish it, but we will never rule you. The 2 counselors looked at each other. They had come seeking protection. They had found something more. They had found hope that the galaxy could be different. Outside, 3,000 warships approached. They thought numbers would give them victory. They were about to learn otherwise.